They say you are what you eat, but we say you eat what you are. For an interesting playthrough in RimWorld, I decided to see how far I could take 100 naked tribal man-eaters. I multiplied the tribal start by 20 and selected a custom ideology identical to the default naked man-eaters, but called Fleshism. Surely with 100 colonists we can subdue the neighbors and claim dominion over the land, right? Well, Randy Random might have something to say about that. And without clothing or armor, and only armed with primitive weapons, there will be blood. We start our journey in the depths of the mountainous tropical rainforest with 100 beautiful, pure, naked colonists. Many of them have enhanced the appearance of their bare flesh with tribal tattoos. Nothing brings us closer to the gods than feasting our eyes on the flesh. Except, of course, literally feasting on the flesh. There was enough pemmican to hold us over until we could get established with farming, a noble and desirable profession within the tribe, and we brought just enough weapons to give everyone a fair chance at defending themselves. There should be enough wood just laying around here in order to throw up some walls and hopefully get a roof over our heads before nightfall. It will take several days of work to get things comfortable, but for now, sleeping on the soft rainforest floor will do. We all ate, worked, and slept together as a community. Our sweat, a sign of progress. Our stench, the smell of success. Our moods, a sign that we're pushing the limits of our development. A mental break now and then was proof that we were working just hard enough. The local land provided everything we needed. Trees for building, berries for cooking, animals for hunting, and soil for planting. We began to convert this landscape into a home for our sacred cannibal kingdom. Our flesh knower of skin was anointed, and a leader of the tribe was crowned, to the rejoicing of all. But as the land giveth, the land also taketh away. And when all seemed quiet, 26 black bears afflicted with the wicked virus Scaria descended upon our walls. Some would call it the Black Bear Day, and from here on, the colony would never be the same. It was the first major threat to befall the Cannibal Kingdom. Many were killed in battle, and many more were maimed. Limbs were torn from their sockets, eyeballs bitten out, toes lost without a trace. Blood everywhere. And while there was triumph, there was no celebration. We hauled our wounded to their beds, and we hauled the victorious dead to the kitchen. For there is no greater honor in death than to sustain the living. Bandages were applied, bleeding was staunched, hearts were broken, but our resolve was hardened. And it was here, in our hour of despair, with only a tenuous grip on colony stability, that man-hunting poodles arrived. Dozens of them, with their cute haircuts and their magnificent white fur, all overshadowed by their blood-curdling growls. With a significant portion of the population either wounded or needing to keep tending to the wounded, there were only a few options left for our defense. So we did what any rational person would do when rabid animals show up at the door. We kept the doors closed. For 2 days, we remained within the safety of the base. This was not a hardship, but an opportunity. We smoothed stone, made wondrous works of art, researched new technology, and as the poodles grew exhausted on the brink of starvation, we attacked. The colony was at long last secure. More traps would be laid, larger weapons would be forged, stronger walls would be built. Progress was fast, everyone working in unison, united in our cause, a well-oiled machine inching ever closer to the industrial era. For our enemies would possess far superior technology, so we must be prepared. But first, more bears! This time, grizzly bears. 16 of them to be exact. With claws up to 4 inches long, this would make a far greater threat than the black bears from last week. But with our newfound bear fighting skills and some improvements to the defenses, we were able to ward them off with minimal losses. We were back to the daily grind in no time. A huge mining project was started in the north, and hours of research finally paid off. But this was no time for complacency. We stocked up on medicine and thickened the walls. We expanded the power grid and tamed a gorilla, and another, and an elephant. Lay more traps, smooth the stone, slaughter the fauna, and fill the fridge with meat. Rest. Relax. Then Gorar found an ancient danger. He was a curious man, finding it filled with insects. We fell back, formed ranks, and murdered them all. Pemmican. What mysteries await us inside? We prepared for violence, and violence we had. Better pemmican. Together, we were unstoppable. Well, mostly. And then, it happened. Glimmering with overconfidence, we recklessly charged the cluster. Their technology was spectacular, sensing and tracking our every movement. We were no match. Only numbers were on our side. Mistakes were made. And the loss of life was catastrophic. Nearly half of the colony lie dead in the grass, and the other half were grievously wounded. If not of their body, then certainly of their soul. We dragged the wounded back home and crushed the remaining mechanoids. A great rain began to fall. The trails of blood mixed with the trails of tears. There would be no light at the end of this tunnel, only more pain. The night is darkest before the dawn, and the night had only just begun. Frantic surgeries, raging infections, psychotic breaks, chaos would ensue. Horus was so mentally broken that he began playing Hoopstone Ring in the midst of it all. Nothing would ever be the same. Slowly, the rain would wash away some of the blood, and time would wash away some of the despair. A new normal would be discovered. The insects had returned for their revenge, and our need for components we had dug too greedily and too deep. But there are foul and dangerous creatures that dwell in the deep, dark places of the Rim. They would grow exponentially, a ticking time bomb counting down to a ravaging attack. We would need to act, eventually. But before we could make any preparations, a new threat approached. 189 tribal warriors from a nearby clan began an immediate assault on the colony. Some local traders had just wandered in, unaware of the danger. We made our way to defensive positions as the hostile tribe marched to the gate and set our crops ablaze. The vanguard approached the merchants, and a massacre ensued. The attackers were drawn into our field of fire, and the slaughter began. One by one, they fell to our great bows. Our melee fighters waited for their signal to flank the enemy, and the full weight of the assault began, to no avail. As they turned to run, we chased after them, securing their defeat. And after stomping out the fire, we turned to the wounded that were left behind, our new prisoners. They would pay for their transgressions with their flesh. This is the way. A few of our people needed a lung transplant anyway, and so the butchery was underway. The field of battle was littered with the corpses of our enemy, and not one fleshist was lost. We would soon celebrate with a feasting of the flesh, but that would have to wait. The tribals were back. They sought to free the prisoners from their gruesome fate. They were too late. They tunneled through the southern wall as our ranged fighters took cover behind the beds, and the enemy piled into the breach. Arrows were loosed into the crowd, Steel Wolf charged, blood was splattered on the polished wooden floors, and our melee group on a flanking mission maneuvered to seal off their escape. A brutal melee ensued, and despite being caught between the hammer and anvil, they fought viciously to escape, knowing what lay in store for them if they were to be captured alive. We quickly gave up the pursuit to focus on the wounded, and there were many. With only half of our starting number, it was time to focus our attention on the bugs. We engaged in a ritualistic feasting of the flesh to prepare for battle. Our strategy to remove them was to burn them out. It seemed like our only solution now. We had let the hive fester for far too long. We walled off the southern mines and sealed the insects in, but it would only contain them for so long. It was inevitable that they would begin swarming us eventually. if actions were not taken to destroy them. We started by burning some furniture in the nearby ancient danger room, but this only increased the temperature of the cavern by a few degrees. We tried again, this time with triple the furniture, but the result was the same. There was only one strategy left. We used some of our most precious materials to craft an incendiary launcher, put it in the hands of our bravest colonist, and we marched into the caves. A two-man team, Chana and Red, a bond forged in the heat of battle. Literally, Chaga launched an incendiary round into the heart of the bug hive and set the surroundings ablaze. As Red, struck by fear, set fire to his escape route early. As Chaga turned to run for safety, one of the insects struck. He struggled to his feet, but he was unable to make it back to Red in time. Red, fearing for his life, shut the door behind him, hoping that the insects would throw themselves into the flames as they desperately chased after him in revenge. It seemed to be working. The temperature was rising, the hives were burning, bugs were setting themselves on fire, but what was done could not be undone, and the bugs were sent into a furious rage. They burst out of the walls that were built to contain them and flooded the northern fields. The fleshists ran for their lives and scrambled to form a defense, but it was too late. One by one, naked bodies were struck down in the field of battle. Some ran out of fear, others took heroic last stands. Our defenses were overrun in a matter of seconds. Our defeat was swift and utterly complete. Ikagarai was our last remaining colonist. She suffered from severe growing carcinoma of the head, a missing toe, sensory mechanites, fibrous mechanites, and an itchy gunshot scar. As she lay writhing in the insect slime and the wreckage of what was once an extremely impressive barracks, she succumbed to starvation. Everyone was dead or gone. The story is over. If you're looking to see more RimWorld on the channel, then you know what to do. And while you're waiting, check out the links below for more content, ways to support the channel, and ways to become a Nerd of Steel. You can catch me on the Discord, Twitter, at the weekly livestream, or in the comment section down below. Huge thank you to all of my supporters who have made this channel what it is today. My name is Temreki, and I hope this video has earned your subscription, and I'll see you in the next one.